I've been in the media all my life, radio and television mostly. Done a lot of things, film too. I've done a lot of things. It's been great. I love my career. I have some excellent stories. Um, my early career, I was always that fun-loving guy. I was the MC type, make everybody happy, everybody having a good time. The Ryan Seacrest kind of stuff. The Dick Clark, that kind of thing. That was my early career. Um, and then when I got into politics and I started paying the price by being kicked out of media outlets by my own company, firing me for being too conservative. Yeah. But I never expected it from people on my own side, my own Republican Party. Never expected to be treated poorly by them, ever. Because my entire career, I have put my neck out for the Republican Party. I have taken bold stands in network television and radio that has gotten me reprimanded, criticized, shut down, death threats, all kinds of stuff. Because I took a stand for the Republican Party. Never thought I'd be treated poorly by my own party. Until now. We got a new chair. The old chair I was not a fan of at all. The new chair was the vice chair. And I just thought, well, if she's anything like Jessica Patterson, we're in trouble. I didn't want to be right, but this last convention, just a couple of weeks ago, it's the spring convention for the California Republican Party, was in San Diego. And I've always gotten a press pass so I can go in and interview people and so on and so forth. Get a little more behind the scenes, have a room to work, a place to bring people in to interview them in a nicer area, in a quiet area set apart. I've done that many, many times. And I've had candidates get upset at me, ones who were not nearly as conservative as they made out to be, and I call them on it. Oh yeah, I've had that happen before. I've had a lot of celebrities hang up on me. I had a couple of them walk out because I don't put up with their crap. Their leftist trash, their stupid grooming and ideology that they always try and sneak in here and there. I've always called them out on that stuff. But I never thought my own Republican Party would turn against me. I got denied a press pass. And then when I get down there, and I've never been denied a press pass. So well, I'm press. I've always been in the media. I got denied this time under our new chair and her new lapdog. Shoop is his name. Shoop, shoop that hoop, shoop that hoop, that hoop. And Matt Shoop would not give me a reason. And I wrote several times, how come? What's going on? Then I actually saw him at the convention and I said, Matt Shoop. And he stopped. And I said, I'm CharLee Simons. I'm the one. I went walking up to him. There were people everywhere. I'm the guy. You denied my press pass, my press credentials. Why? I just want to know why. Him haw, and said, yeah, sorry. And turned around and started to walk away. I called out his name again, louder. He stopped. And I said, I'm serious. I want to know a reason why I was denied press credentials. He looks down at my badge and he goes, oh, you're a delegate. I can't talk to you. Turned around and walked out. Stunned. I was stunned. I got off easy because I started hearing stories about other press dudes who were getting kicked out of the convention. Now, I don't know their political stance. I don't know if they're just RINOS in disguise, if they're infiltrators. I don't know what they are. But you don't get to question my motives with promoting the Republican Party and conservative ideals, because that's what I've done and I've paid the price. My whole career, my whole adult life, I have always taken a stance for what's right. And all kinds of rumors start flying. Did you hear about this? One guy just got kicked out. Podcaster just got removed. So on and so forth. This was happening Like, why? What's going on? And they have these forums or quorums or whatever you call it, where you can go in and everybody gets. I went in for example, veterans, military veterans, and they get to talk about here's what we're doing within the party to help promote veterans' needs and so on, address those needs, and to represent you. And then the candidates would come in and talk to us. They get to talk to a bunch of vets who are Republicans and are going to be friendly, but we want to hear what they have to say because they're running against each other. Steve Hilton, Chad Bianco, running for governor. It was great. I got to hear them speak several times and really do some comparing. That's why I'm a Bianco guy now, by the way. And I haven't made, that's the first time I've made that announcement on the show. So anyway, one thing I started noticing on all these signs they put out front for this forum, you know, we had the Union Caucus, we had all these different forums. You get to go in and hear them all speak to their presentations. No media allowed. I kept seeing that sign. I didn't care. I didn't have press credentials, so I just went walking in. I was there anyway as the media. So, CA GOP. And I got to see a lot. Not all of it good. But I was amazed, again, in these forums, how many said no press allowed, no media allowed. That's what it said, actually. No media allowed. Why? That makes me suspicious. Always. Why? What are you hiding? We don't get to get up there and ask questions of any of these people. We're just reporting on what we see, talking about it, doing podcasts, doing shows, doing radio shows. Andrea Kay was there from Salem Media Group. I love her. So not all of them were podcasters or TV people. Some were just actual print press people. Not allowed in. Well, then I find out about Ryder Bullock. Ryder's a young dude. He's learning journalism. He's in school to learn all this. And he was there at the California Republican Party convention in San Diego just a week ago. And he got removed. Why? I don't know. Let's find out. I can't wait to hear it too. Hit it. What's up, buddy boy? Welcome to the big old bad old broadcast.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here and hear the news that you are a Bianco fan. I can't believe that I get to be the guest on which you dropped this major bomb.
That is that's the decision I made after seeing them side by side again and again and again. Because I went to a lot of these different forums, and they were there, and so were they. For treasurer, I'm a big fan of David Serpa. He was there. He's running for treasurer against Diane Hawks. Is that her name?
Jennifer.
There were thank you, Jennifer Hawks. There were a whole bunch of candidates who would come in after they did their thing, and they would talk to all of us. So I got to see them back to back a lot. And that's when I made my decision. There were a lot of things in the beginning that bothered me about Chad Bianco. And frankly, I'm still a huge Daniel Mercury, Louis Herms guy. Both of those guys. I love them. But the party wintered it down from the very beginning. They didn't even give any of the grassroots candidates a chance. And now Daniel Mercury and Louis Herms are not even registered with the Republican Party. They're no party preference for their governor's race. They have not dropped out. They're still running. And I hope beyond hope that could happen. But in the meantime, the GOP is like, it's Hilton or Bianco or nobody. We're not talking to anybody. We're not helping anybody. We're not promoting anybody. We're not giving anybody any money. Because we already decided for you idiots who it's going to be. That's been the attitude from the very beginning, it seems like to me. So I got to hear them both back to back a lot. And here's the what happened, Ryder. For me, I'm sick of platitudes. I'm done. If you keep coming in and telling me I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this and I promise you that, and if you elect me, I'll make this happen, and then it never does, or maybe little bits and pieces do. President Trump is the only president in my lifetime that has done everything he said he was going to do, except putting Hillary in jail. That's the only thing I hope. But I'm still holding out. But I'm done with that. And then Chad would come in, Sheriff Bianco, and he would say, it's funny because all those things that Steve Hilton is saying he's going to do, I've been saying I was going to do that from the beginning, and now suddenly he's saying them too. But I'm going to tell you, not only that's what I'm going to do, but here's how I'm going to do it. Here's how I'm going to do it.
Right.
7 very powerful words to me. And he proceeded to explain, here's how I'm going to do it. And I was like, okay, it's time for the adults in the room to take over and stop listening to somebody who's just like, hello, Jolly Ranchers. I'm here to save the day. And actually tell me how you're going to fix it. And that's what Chad Bianco did. And I decided right then and there, buddy, that's him. That's the guy for me. But what happened to you started spreading around like wildfire. This reporter, this podcaster just got kicked out. Why?
Yeah, so let me go back really quick and give you a little background of who I am. So I'm a student journalist. I'm a sophomore at Mount San Jacinto in the Menifee, Temecula area, Riverside County. I got out of the Navy last year.
Congrats.
And,
thank you
for that. And
you guys always ate a lot better than Army people.
Yeah. So been doing that, and then that brought me to California from Indiana after a pit stop in Japan and Guam. But yes. But I've always had a passion for journalism. Always had a passion for sports. Sadly, I'm not a very talented athlete, so I was a better writer than a basketball player, and that that kept me close to the game. And so I just said, well, this is an easy life. I can write about things I love. I get to go to the games for free and make a living at this. Let's do it, And so that's how I got into that. And so now you go, what's a sports reporter doing at the California Republican Convention? So I'd been following since I moved. I knew Newsom's term was up. I knew there'd be a lot of spotlight on the race, just given how big the size of California is and potentially new leadership and that. And so I kind of seen an advantage of highlighting a national issue that I could be boots on the ground for. Through that, kind of was realizing, well, I don't want to be a political reporter. When I got to school, rather, I didn't want to become a political writer. I said I want to stick to sports. So I've been covering the golf team and the basketball team and other things in that matter. But then I was reading a book. I was reading a book by Jim Gray, the Hall of Fame sports broadcaster, and he was talking about an assignment he did in 2004 called Issues Related to Sports Fans. And he interviewed George W. Bush and John Kerry at the time. He interviewed the same questions. They polled people about sports issues, steroids in baseball at the time, and just these debates that were happening in sports. And I thought, well, how clever. I said, could I do this on a local gubernatorial level? And so I just, outside of baseball games and basketball games, outside, Petco Park and Dodger Stadium and at Santa Anita Park, I would just poll people off the street and say, hey, what's the political issue in sports? And a lot of times it would be ticket prices and affordability, or, transgender and women's sports, and kind of, NIL and other things. And so then I just kind of compiled the topics and sorted them out and narrowed it down to like 12 questions. And then I said I interviewed, or I asked the candidates. I sent emails to everybody. We sent emails to Kate Porter and Butch Ware of the Green Party, and Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco, and I think we even sent one to Swalwell before we found out he was a pervert. But and so we sent emails to everybody, is basically what I'm saying. And I found I live in Temecula, and I found out the convention was going to be there in San Diego, about an hour from me.
Yeah, real close.
So I just pitched the idea. I said, hey, I got these sports questions. Let's go to the convention, boots on the ground, and I think it'd be a really cool experience. And the school said, okay, yeah, sure, have at it. And so I just went. I didn't take very much equipment. We only took one microphone and a video camera and a cell phone. So we just kind of, wanted to, keep it informal and that. But day one, Friday, I went to the veterans meeting. You mentioned the veterans meeting, and I was in the meeting, and they, like you said, they let the candidates speak. And I heard David Serpa for the first time talk about how he was going to combat fraud. And
as a powerhouse.
Right. I just naturally, being a reporter and studying up on the convention, I had some back questions on fraud. It wasn't my main story, but it was a hot button issue, and I thought, who better to ask? So I asked Serpa. I said, Serpa, my name is Ryder Bullock. I'm a student reporter here in the Temecula area. I said, I got some questions sometime this weekend. If we can get together, love to interview you. He said, sure, I'm here till Sunday. I said, me too. That was the extent of our conversation. I then go from that interaction to the county chairs meeting. Okay. And now this was a meeting amongst 58 county chairs of the Republican Party. Yeah. And they're yelling back and forth on rules and regulations and this and that. And do you pray before the pledge, or do you say the pledge and then pray? Everything was a big debate in that room. But what stood out to me was this data guy comes up, and I'm sadly mistaken. I don't know his name or remember his name. I don't even think he said it, to be honest, because he was left there to dry. Unfortunately, he was left hung out to dry, the poor guy. He gives out voter registration data to these county chairs. And all 58 county chairs simultaneously are in an uproar because their registration data is wrong. It is wrong, and it's not wrong by a little bit. Like, all the counties are wrong. The one county chair, I think might have been Riverside, I don't know, but he said there's more people registered to vote than are alive in my county. Now, I'm an outsider. My previous assignment before the convention was a boxing match. I mean, if it tells you how crazy it is that I'm here in this meeting. But so now I've got like alarm bells going off. I've got all 50. I mean, you can't get two people to agree on anything. So now I've got 58 people agreeing that these numbers are wrong. And so I'm just, kind of going. And so now I start asking questions. I'm talking to delegates. I'm talking to other county chairs and kind of seeing what's going on. And everybody says, oh, yeah, the data's wrong. And it's not even wrong. It's delayed. Like, this is data that they were supposed to get 2 years ago. and it's been delayed and delayed and delayed, and now we finally get it, and it's wrong. And so I go, well, who's the key person on this? Who's the key person? And they all said, you need to talk to the chairwoman. You need to talk to Corinne Rankin. And I said, okay. So I, through weird coincidences, I get invited to Sean Steele's cigar social night.
Those are always fun. I missed it. This is the first year I've missed, but those are always fun.
Yeah. And, he's talking to me. This is Sean Steele. He's talking to me, talking about it's going to be great. You're going to get Cuban cigars, and I'm going to light them for you. And there's going to be unlimited chocolate and strawberries. And he just making it sound like a gay old time on the harbor and this and that. And so I said, okay, I'll go, and now I'm not so much invested in this sports story. I'm more invested in this election fraud story. And so I continue just to make sure that I not making a mountain out of a molehill. I want to make sure that I've got everything and people are outraged about this as I am. And so I was talking to a candidate. I won't tell you his name, but he was a assemblyman running for up in the San Bernardino area. But I was just explaining to him what was going on, and he goes, "Yeah, this is crazy. This is like 2 years." And he starts telling me all the backstory. And I said, "Well, who is this? Who is this? Who's responsible for this?" And he again told me I needed to talk to Corinne Rankin, the chairwoman. And so sure enough, here she comes walking by. And I didn't know her. And so I just walked up, introduced myself. I said, "Hi, my name's Ryder Bullock. I'm a student reporter. I've got some questions for you." She said, I'm kind of busy right now. I said, "Well, we can walk and talk." And so we walked, and I did most of the talking, but I just asked her about the data. I said, "Hey, I was in this county chair meeting." I said, "I think there's something that you should be aware of." And she goes, "What is that?" I said, "Do you know that all 58 county chairs are saying that you gave them wrong data?" And she looked like surprised. She didn't even know that there was, she acted like she didn't know there was a county chair meeting. She was very, very surprised at what I had learned in this meeting. And, and so it was very strange to me. And so then I kind of jumped ahead, but I'm asking her these questions. And then through asking all the delegates and making sure that all my ducks are in a row, I found out that tomorrow, Saturday, there was a meeting on voter integrity. It was about the SAVE Act and other things, mail-in ballot and other topics. Yeah. And I just, from watching the news and keeping up with current events as I do, voter integrity has been a very hot button issue since the 2020 election. I mean, the Republican Party has kind of shoved Dominion voting down the tube of that story. I mean, they ran it for years and cost Fox a lot of money in doing so. But nonetheless, and I just thought, here's a great chance at transparency. And the California GOP is closing its door. They don't want the transparency. And I just thought that was strange. And so I thought, here I've got obvious evidence of voter fraud, and you're closing the door on how you're going to prevent it. And so I just asked her, I said, why is that meeting closed? And she said, well, not everything can be open to the public. And I said, okay. And she kind of, goes, and she made it sound like it was some kind of committee. And, she goes, well, we decide, we pick and choose and we, kind of go over the key topics and that and that. And I said, well, who decides? And she goes, well, it was a decision I made. She's taking accountability that she chose to close this meeting off. And so I said, so it was your decision? And she goes, yes. And I said, so you, the chairwoman of a party who is key issue has been voter integrity. I said, is the Republican Party not the party of open, fair, transparent elections? Oh, yes. Yes, we want transparency. We want elections. I said, so why would you then make a decision to close a transparency meeting? And she again quotes, she again basically says, well, not everything can be open to the public. And so my follow-up to her was, what are you hiding? And she walks away from me. And I just said, okay, well, that's the end of the conversation. And so I didn't follow her. I didn't chase her. I, matter of fact, walked back to my table there at the Cigar Social, continued my conversation with the candidate. And then about, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, she comes back, Miss Rankin, she comes back and she says, can I take a picture? And I said, yeah, you can take a picture. And she takes a picture of my press credential. And it was so alarming. The guy that I was talking to, he, after she left, he said, that to me is more interesting than your fraud story, what just happened. And then, so that was Friday night. I go home, and then Saturday I drive back down. And then Saturday, about 10 o'clock, Saturday morning, I was just, I had made it kind of clear to other journalists that I had talked to and shared this story with that I was just going to wait outside the meeting. And whoever came out that door, I was just going to ask what they say, and so I was just standing outside the door. And that's when Matt Shoup, communications director for the GOP, comes by and says, "Can I talk to you?" And I said, "Sure." Right. And so we walk, and we stop at the press room, and he goes, "I've been getting several complaints that you are harassing delegates, harassing candidates, and are in violation of the Republican Code of Conduct. I'm going to have to take your badge." And so he took my badge, and that was my time at the convention.
What has happened? What has happened? These people are out of control, Ryder. They're out of control. This is horrible, what's going on with our own California Republican Party. I've always been there championing, waving the flag, vote right. Come on, we can do this. Republicans can win. We just got to rally the base. We got to get everybody excited about this. And I watched my own Republican Party, and I'm a delegate, so I'm seeing more insider stuff than you are. And that's been going on for at least 3 years now, maybe 3.5. And I've been watching this infiltration by the left and these tactics. They're doing the same thing that Democrats do. Closing doors, doing things behind closed doors, keeping people out, keeping the media out. We're going to decide what's best for you, and we'll tell you what you're going to do and what you're going to think and who you're going to vote for. It's so apparent to me now, and it just infuriates me. And my own fellow delegates are the ones who put her into that position of tremendous power. I was really disappointed when they did that, but I held out hope. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Because personally, I liked her. She was very likable. She's kind of like a cheerleader. She's always positive and happy, and let's go, everybody. No, that's a front. That's all a show. It's all a fraud. And people are so easily distracted by shiny things. I think that's why Steve Hilton is doing so well with the Republican Party. He's really shiny. And I don't know what to do about it, Ryder, other than this. Just call him out.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure that's why my press credentials were denied because I've had David Serpa on the show more than once. And the last show I did with him, he called out our own Republican Party. He goes, they're trying to shut me down. They're trying to keep me from actually speaking. Even though I got enough votes to get up there and be able to speak to all the delegates and say, please vote for me come Sunday. They're trying to keep me off the stage. They're trying to not even let me talk. And I'm like, why? This is crazy. Well, because I'm this, because I'm that, because I'm too right wing for them, because I'm too grassroots, because I'm too. And then it came out about what the party is trying to do when it comes to shutting up the Christian voice and shutting up those who are pro-life,
right,
pro-traditional marriage. The party has been sucking up to the log cabin Republicans, which is basically the homo mafia. Yeah. It's a whole bunch of Republicans who are homosexual and promoting their agenda, and they want a special place on the dais. They want to be represented. They don't want equality. They want special privileges is what they want. I have a problem with that no matter what the people group is. No matter who they are, I have a problem with that. But the Republican, they go where the money is.
Yeah.
And a lot of money is being thrown around to wield power and influence. And they're trying to literally shut up and shut down grassroots candidates. Not just David Serpa, but a couple of the names I've mentioned. And I'm seeing it happen a lot. They're going to decide who's going to run, and you're going to go along with it, or you're gone. Right. You don't even get a voice. You don't even get some input. I've watched in the voting sessions because as a delegate, I have to be there on Sunday and I'm voting on these resolutions and for these candidates that are being presented. And anybody who stands up and tries to say, wait a minute, they're gavelled out. They said you're out of order. Their microphones are turned off. That's what Democrats do.
Yeah.
Not my own fellow Republicans. We paid money to be at that convention. It's pretty good money. It wasn't cheap to go to that. And we're showing up when so many other people are not. I'm watching my own Republican Party try and get rid of delegates. They lie about that. They say, oh, no, we're getting more delegates. We want more. No, you don't know. They're making it more and more difficult. There's less and less of them. And then you got the proxy votes. Proxy votes seem to be very dirty. And you'll have an entire room of delegates cheering for one thing, and then the vote goes the other way, time and time again. I'm like, how's this happening? I just heard my own fellow delegates all excited about this and wanting to vote yes on this. And it comes out, no, it's the proxy votes. People are being paid for their proxies. That's going on. We'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll do this, we'll do that, if you'll give us your proxy vote. I don't have proof of that, other than everybody who's on the inside like that is saying the same damn thing. Oh, yeah, it's going on. How do we, as the state of California, actually have true conservative candidates represent us? My own party is saying, yeah, we have to be more centrist. We have to get more Democrats coming over to our side. Really?
Right.
Why don't you tell that to President Trump? He hasn't compromised on anything. And I seem to think he did all right twice. Why don't we have that attitude? But we don't. Oh, no, California is different. Because you say it is? I don't think it is. I think California's a red state. I think my fellow Californians and conservatives are screaming for you people to do something. Something good, something right. Instead of trying to placate and play to the other side. Well, we got to get elected. You're right. You know that chair position, by the way, used to be volunteer, Ryder? That used to be a volunteer position.
Wow.
And then Jessica Patterson comes along and suddenly she's making $250,000 per year. Jeez. That's more than twice what the Democrat chair, the California Democrat Party chairperson made half that.
Wow.
And they won elections. So then Corinne Rankin gets in, and next thing you know, she's getting a $50,000 a year raise, $300,000 to do that job of kicking you out of the convention with her little lapdog match. Everything I'm saying now is making me very confident that this is going to be the demise of me with the California Republican Party. I'm not going to stop being a Republican. I'm not going to stop thinking that way and feeling that way, because that's my heart. That's my mind. But I will get even louder when it comes to pointing out the corruption and the fraud and the ridiculousness that has become the California Republican Party. I am telling people now, don't give them a dime. Give to your candidates that you like. Actually listen to them, find them, go hear them, look them up, go to their websites, watch them on my show, on your show, whomever. Actually watch those shows. When I have candidates on, Ryder, those are my lowest watched shows.
Yeah.
People don't even want to hear it. They don't even really seem to care. The apathy is appalling to me. And you get the government that you deserve. If you're not willing to step up and actually go, you know what, I better start paying attention, because something's not right. Until we do that, it's only going to get worse, I believe. I don't see how it's going to get better. So did they escort you out of the building like they like to do, make a big show of it?
Well, they escorted me out of the convention. They did not have authority to kick me out of the hotel. So they basically just walked me to the lobby and that. But
how many were there? Who's they?
What?
Who's they? How many were there walking you out?
Oh, just Matt, and then maybe a unarmed security guard, but it was mostly just Matt.
Okay.
It's funny though. I want to key on two things really quick. After I got out of the convention, I found out there was probably a way I could get back in if I settled everything straight and this and that. And so I have Sean Steele's phone number. So I just texted him, I said, hey, I'm at the hotel lobby. I think there was a miscommunication. Can we, maybe work something out? And so he meets me on the hotel lobby. And
I like him. I like him a lot. Sean Steele. I'm glad that he responded.
Yeah. So
that speaks volumes to me, because it could have been really easy for him to go, oh, well, we'll talk about it after the convention. Got a lot of stuff going on. Sorry that happened.
Yeah, no, he was very kind to me. There's maybe a misconstruction that him and I have beef. I want to make it very clear. Sean Steele and I have
he's
been
on the
nothing
executive board, by the way.
Yeah, he's been nothing but nice to me. And a lot of it's been misconstrued in this story. That's and I just want to set that straight, that he was nothing but kind to me, and I hope that I was just as kind to him and that. So now that I've got that out of the way, he meets me in the lobby, and I tell him what happened and this and that, and he goes, "Oh, there may have been a miscommunication." And he starts telling me about this wacky incident that also happened at the Sean Steele party. And
because you're not the only one that I heard got kicked out.
Right. So apparently there was a spat, and that's my word, not Sean's word. There was a spat between a delegate who I won't name, and a predominant figure in the Republican Party, who I also won't name, and so now this predominant figure has come under scrutiny for being a rhino, and I after getting to hear her would agree that she's a rhino. She's been pushing mail-in ballots on the internet for all week. and blaming that's why Republicans lose elections, because they don't mail in their ballot. I hope that your viewers vote in person. It's the only way that you can really stop the fraud and make sure that your vote gets to where it should be if you have eyes on it. Putting it in the post office is I wouldn't recommend doing that. But this predominant figure has been pushing that, and again, that's a radical leftist idea. I mean, go to Japan, where I served, and tell the prime minister you want mail-in ballots. He would look at you, or she would look at you like you're stupid. We want mail-in ballots, open borders, transgenders for everybody. I mean, these radical people, and I don't even know where they
for every household.
Yeah, I don't even know where they come up with this idea. I gotta bear with me here. Bear with me here. I gotta grab my charger. So apparently there was a spat between this delegate and this predominant figure in the party. Now, I didn't see it happen, but I heard about it, and he said something along the lines of, "You have no class," and this and that, and there was a spat. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
This delegate is saying that to a candidate.
Yes, a delegate is saying this. Well, not to a candidate, to a more of a strategist. She's a strategist. She works.
Another one of those. Great.
She works with campaigns, and so she took the "you have no class" comment to be anti-Semitic, and reported this delegate for hate speech.
You're kidding.
And now this predominant figure has also been in the news lately for hiring an investigative PI guy on another candidate in the Pasadena area, because she thinks he hates Jews and is a Nazi and everything else. And so this delegate was basically standing up for his friend and other things. And so all that was going on, and then they saw me talking with Serpa, and they labeled me a kind of a weird name. I'd never heard the name before, Groiper, and I
never even knew what that was until just a couple of weeks ago.
Was either.
Yeah, I had never even heard of it. I don't watch Nick Fuentes, so I don't either.
I don't either. And it was so silly. So Mr. Steele keeps telling me all this. He's basically telling me all this. And he goes, the only way, he said, I'd love to help you. But unfortunately, you've been guilty by association for hanging out with Nazis. And my mouth hit the floor, because nobody I had talked to over the last 24 hours it was not Adolf Hitler at all. It was very opposite of that. It was very strange. And I didn't appreciate that. But he did imply, it was so funny. He did imply that he didn't think I was a Nazi or held Nazi views, but because I wanted to interview David Serpa, that made me guilty by association.
This is crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah.
That explains why I was denied press credentials, because I had David Serpa on talking about how he's getting all this pushback from our own party. I've had more than one discussion with him, and that's the last thing I would ever think of him. He's a combat veteran from the Marine Corps. He definitely does not have Nazi views, nor is he a sympathizer in any way with that. That is crazy what's going on. There's something deeper and bigger. They got their girl Jennifer Hawkes for treasurer. She got the nomination from the California Republican Party as an endorsement in the run for treasurer, and David Serpa was very close in the votes but didn't have enough, and so it went to her. But yet they wouldn't even do a dual endorsement for the gubernatorial candidates, which to me seemed a perfect solution. If you have two neck and neck like that running so close, the last thing we as a Republican Party should do is give no endorsement,
right?
Which is what happened.
Yeah,
because neither one of them got the required 60% of the vote. I get it, but that had just happened earlier between Hawks and Serpa, and they made us vote again.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this time it went for Jennifer Hawkes. They didn't do that for the gubernatorial candidates. They did not do that for Hilton and for Bianco. They did not make us vote again because it was so close. They just went, yep, that's it. Neither one got 60%. So we cannot, as a party, endorse a Republican candidate for governor. And then Russell, I wish I could remember his last name. I like him. He's a Bay Area guy. He gets up in point of orders. So they have to hear what he has to say if you're going to follow Robert's rules of order. And Corinne Rankin was rolling her eyes, and he says, why are we not doing a dual endorsement? That seems like a perfect solution. We want both of them to win because of the jungle primaries in California, which is a stupid ass idea that has hurt Republicans for almost 2 decades now, where it's the top 2 vote getters who go to the final election in November, despite what party they're with. It's got to be a Republican and a Democrat. So we keep having 2 Democrats with all the fraud, the millions of illegals voting. It just keeps happening. 2 Democrats going for the same seat in the final race in November because of our stupid jungle primary. So it made sense that now that the people of California seem to have finally had enough, and the top 2 poll getters, top 2 numbers in the polls, Bianco and Hilton, combined are killing all the other Democrat candidates. We could actually conceivably have 2 Republican candidates going for the seat in November, which would be fantastic because one or the other, either way, we are getting a Republican governor for the first time in 18 years. It seemed like a perfect solution to me. But no, she gavelled him out. You're out of order. Shut off his microphone. Didn't want to hear it. So they made us vote again when it was for treasurer, and it was Hawks and Serpa, and this time Hawks won. But they didn't make us vote again when it came so close that we could not give an endorsement because it's required. You got to get 60% of the vote. And it was too close. Why didn't they vote again? Okay, make up your minds because we don't want to walk out of here without endorsing a Republican candidate for governor.
Right.
But they did that. And now the press did exactly what I said they would do. They're going to say the Republican Party itself doesn't even want their own Republican candidates for governor. Plus, President Trump, good or bad, endorsed Steve Hilton about a week before that. I'm sorry he did. I wished he wouldn't have, but he did. And now the press is saying even the California Republican Party is going against President Trump. That's exactly what is happening, exactly what I said would happen. We could have endorsed both candidates, but they shot that down. Didn't even want to entertain that. Seemed to make the most sense to me. So now we have no endorsement of a Republican candidate for governor. That is pathetic. That is embarrassing. That is a dereliction of duty as far as I'm concerned with everybody on that executive board at the California GOP. And there's many up there that I like. But then you got Corinne Rankin, you got that Matt Shoup clown, and you got all those people coming in going, we got to make nice with the Democrats and everybody log cabin it up. We got to compromise. This is the last time we should be compromising. We actually have a clear path to victory. The Republicans have gotten so great at snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. I'm
Yeah,
stunned by the
it's
whole thing,
sad.
Ryder. I'm sorry that happened to you. I pray that that does not discourage you. I pray you don't quit, because we need more people like you, not less.
Thank you. And one of the strangest political transformations of the last decade has been watching today's Republican Party wrap itself in the language of free speech while repeatedly demonstrating that it often is very low tolerance for actual dissent. They say they are the party of the First Amendment. They say they are standing up to censorship. They say they are defending open debate, but when the criticism comes from inside their own ranks, or when the questions get uncomfortable, that commitment seems to disappear very quickly. You take what happened to me, and I was just asking questions about transparency, about a voter data, and why a meeting centered on such was closed. Those aren't radical questions. Those aren't hostile questions. Those are the kind of questions journalists are supposed to ask in a free society. And what happened was I was escorted out. I was revoked. I was given no clear explanation, no substantial answer, just removal. And then when I had the chance to defend myself, listen to this, I had the chance to defend myself. One of the media outlets came and interviewed me, and I just told them the story and this and that. And they take the video, they post it on their site, and next thing I know, it's gone. It's gone. It was taken off. And I found the reporter that I did the interview with in the lobby, and I said, "What happened here? You took my interview down." He goes, "Yeah, turns out you lied." I said, "What do you mean I lied?" He goes, "Well, we got reports that you blew smoke in Curran Rankin's face and had the audacity to light your cigar in front of a baby." Well, first of all, I don't know who's bringing a baby into a cigar lounge, but that mother needs her kid. I would call CPS on that mother. But Sean Steele lit my cigar, and I didn't see a baby. But nonetheless, I did not blow smoke in Miss Rankin's face. And anyway, so I later found out that Matt Shoup intimidated this other young reporter, and that if he didn't take my video down, he was gonna get escorted out of the thing. And it's so sad. It's so sad because if you claim to believe in free speech, you don't punish people for asking questions. And this is a pattern that is larger than one convention hall or a state party. We got this Stop Nick Shirley Act that basically it's going to criminalize people like Nick, who's a great guy, for just exposing nonsense, exposing waste, exposing where your tax dollars are going down the drain. And these Democrats want to punish us $10,000 fines, because we found out. Look at the LA mayor. I don't know if you saw Herb Morgan's video about, the LA housing person caught on hidden camera. That person who's got the camera is going to be fined for exposing why your tax dollars are going to illegal transgender abortions.
Well, I wish them luck in trying to get me to take this show down. It's not going to work. So it's up to you to share this show now, because obviously no one in the Republican Party will. But I will reiterate. I'm a Republican to the core. I'm all about God, family, and country. And I'm the real deal. And I don't like what's happened to my state of Ronald Reagan, my state of Tom McClintock, my state of really true great Barry Goldwater, great conservatives. Well, he was New York. But I'm not quitting. I'm not going to change parties. I'm not going to do like Congressman Kevin Kiley did and change from being a Republican to no party preference just to try and win votes. I'm not going to do that. I'm siding with my president, who's saying we have the values of America. Family, God, country, Those are our values, and we're sticking with them, and we're saying them loud and proud, and hoping that finally the American Republic and Californians, our own fellow Californians, wake up and stop putting people into tremendous positions of power who are doing everything they can to dismantle and destroy this great, great nation. That seems so obvious to me. It's all about, in California especially, getting rid of the middle class, the haves and the have-nots, so the have-nots can serve the haves, and the middle class who thinks for themselves and who start up businesses and who start families, get out. Go to Idaho, go to Texas. We don't care where you go, just get out. They're making it to where we can't even afford to live in our own state. And I demand that my own Republican Party takes a stand against these things, but instead they're trying to change bylaws. They're trying to change our charter, take out Second Amendment, take out traditional marriage, take out pro-life. They're trying to take those things out of our state charter. They tried last year. A lot of us stood up and said, no, you don't. You're not going to do that. But they still did it again anyway, even though we voted it down. They still did a lot of changes. And everybody's like, what just happened? Oh, I don't know. They're in power. Shut up. Just go to the convention. Have a good time. Have your cigar. Don't say anything and don't cause waves. And the 11th Amendment, thou shalt not speak poorly of another Republican. These are not Republicans, Ryder. They're not Republicans who are running the California Republican Party. And I want them out. I want them out. And as long as I can, I'm going to continue being a delegate. I am going to continue showing up. I'm going to continue speaking out. I'm going to continue asking these same kind of questions, Ryder. And I need people like you to join me in that. So I hope you don't quit. I hope you don't get discouraged, because it would be so easy to right about now, especially with that other podcaster taking down your show or the interview with you.
Yeah.
Who was that? Will you say their name?
I won't give you the reporter's name, but I can give you the and they're a great media outlet, the Latino Free Minds press people. They're very kind, very they do a very good job in their reporting. They were just intimidated by Matt Schupp. They didn't want what was going to happen to them happen to me. They didn't want to be taken down like that. And it's so funny. The irony here is so rich. Matt Schupp is a communications director. He's a PR guy. He's actually
a political. He's another one of those stinking consultants.
He's a journalism major. He is a public relations professional. I mean, he's a communications operative who handled. Listen to this. He handled the public relations for Charlie Kirk's funeral. Think about that for a moment. A man whose professional brand is communications, suppressing communications. A man whose business is media relations, intimidating media. A man whose career depends on managing public image, reacting badly when the public starts asking questions. You almost couldn't script it better, because this is what keeps happening in modern Republican politics. They love the aesthetics of free speech. They love the branding of free speech, and they love the merchandise, the slogans of, the outrage segments on Fox News, the fundraising emails about censorship. But the practice of free speech, the messy part, the uncomfortable part, the part where reporters ask questions and cameras keep rolling, that suddenly becomes a problem. And when I don't want to take another person's show off the air, like Nick Fuentes, who I have really not much in common with after watching his videos, but I'm not going to demand he be taken off the air. I've got what's called a remote. I don't like what Rachel Maddow says on MS Now. You know what I do? I turn the channel. I go watch, American Idol or something else, a Knicks game, a good ball game or something other than that nonsense, So I'm not going to denounce somebody, and I'm not going to take away their platform. But it's so funny that this person, this Matt Schupp character, is, just Charlie Kirk was the predominant man who was basically martyred for defending the First Amendment, and here you are working in proximity where they call you. The Republicans have such a great aspiration for you that they call you and say, hey, will you help us plan this man's funeral? Will you help us get us on the air? Will you help get us network time? And you do that. And then not less than a year later, you take my press credential down because I asked your boss what she's hiding. She's got, I didn't even ask her about the $150 million of unaccounted campaign funding from Prop 50. I didn't ask her about that. I asked her a softball question. I asked her a question about why she made a decision to close off a meeting. That's all I asked her. This man here has no integrity and wants to silence me. I mean, the only difference between what happened to me and what the radical left did to Charlie Kirk was I got to wake up the next morning. The only difference between me and what the radical left tried to do to the president because they didn't like what he was saying was I still have my ears. The only difference, it goes back. I used to believe that the Republican Party was the party where you sat down and you had conversations. The radical left is the one that calls you a fascist and no kings and other anti-Semitic and other things,
and call us Nazis.
Right, and now the Republican Party thinks I'm a Nazi. So I go the left thinks I'm a fascist and the right thinks I'm a Nazi. I guess I'm doing my job, but it mind boggles me, and it's almost theatrical when you really think about it. They want microphones, but not follow-ups. They want interviews, but not scrutiny. And they want coverage, but not accountability. And they celebrate themselves as warriors against suppression while engaging in suppression to the minute, and I believe that, and it's so sad, I believe that if you're on the ballot, you have a right to talk to the American people. And for Sean Steele and other Republicans to stand up and say these people shouldn't be on the ballot, we're not going to listen to them talk. That's a problem too. And I don't appreciate. There was a comment made, and I again, while I emphasize that he was kind to me in person, there is a comment that I'd like to challenge him on. When he closed the convention, Sean Steele said, I'm happy to announce that I kicked 2 Nazis out of the convention this weekend.
He said that?
Yes.
In public, like to a bunch of people?
To the 1,200 delegates.
I was there. I never heard him say
that.
In
the tent.
I was there.
There were multiple reports that he said that.
If he said it, it was after all the voting was done because everybody left. They were going to have a report from the executive board, and nobody I know stays for that. We all leave after the voting is done. That's why we were there. So if he said it, it would have been after just about everyone had left. But I'm stunned by that. How dare you throw out that word, if nothing else?
Right.
Like you said, the very thing that the left keeps accusing us of being merely because we have conservative ideals is so blinded and ignorant and stupid. And to have an executive board member actually call 2 of my fellow conservatives who were there Nazis merely because why? You talked to David Serpa, who they don't happen to like, because he calls them out too. This is crazy. I didn't hear him say that. But then I left after the voting was done. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I don't want you to quit, Ryder. I really pray that you're obviously a brave dude. You are. And you've got a great future. I don't know how old you are or anything, but you've impressed the heck out of me just with your communication skills alone. I hope you don't quit.
No, I
And
don't plan to.
good. Where can we find you? How can people
Uh,
follow you and follow what you're doing? Do you have a podcast yourself?
yeah, so I have a podcast. It's called the Ryder Report, and that's on YouTube. It's just a general sports show. Right now,
Right,
we
writer spelled Ryder, right? The
yes,
Writer Report on YouTube.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Right now, we are focusing on issues relative to sports fans. That's the story that I was supposed to do at the convention before I got into this debacle. That unfortunately probably will not change until there's new leadership in the Republican Party. I think Corin Rankin needs to resign because she's incompetent to do her job. She didn't even know that the data was wrong, let alone why it was wrong. And then this communications director who has no integrity, Matt Shoup, he needs to resign just on the fact that he does not stand up for the First Amendment. But now that that's all behind us, I still think I owe it to these voters that we polled to ask questions and attack these sports issues. And so we just had we haven't released it yet, but we just wrapped up filming our first episode with Dennis Faitosa, who's a congressional candidate up in the Pasadena Burbank area, and he did a very good job of, I think, addressing issues of affordability and taxes and other things like that.
Good. Man, I want you to thrive. I want you to do well. And I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry I didn't get press credentials. I'm sorry, Matt Shoup. I didn't even tell you what he did to me when I confronted him, actually in front of a bunch of people, and how rude he was. And all I was asking him was, why was I denied press credentials? I never have before. I've gotten them before at these conventions. Why was I denied this time? And suffice it to say, he was very rude. He walked away twice. And it was such a hostile feeling there. The environment was hostile, not friendly, not welcoming. There are people, I've been to conventions before. There's this one woman, I just love her. At these forums, she'll always start singing "God Bless America," and the whole room joins in. The whole room joins in, and we're all singing "God Bless America, land that I love." She did that a couple times this convention. Maybe a few people would join her. I was one of them. It was different. There was a different feel to it, Ryder. I don't know why, but I don't like it.
No, and you should like it. You should like it. It's been infiltrated. I think it's really, you've got, and a lot of people, and I don't mean to cut you off, but a lot of people probably think, a lot of the public, NBC and CBS and others, mainstream media, they're probably pointing it as it's a two-party split. It's the Bianco people and then the establishment, and it's really, it's not. It's divided three ways. You've got these Republicans who are just backbone Republicans. They're balanced budgets, they're small government, they're just your Rush Limbaugh type Republicans. They're just your day-to-day people who really don't have a dog in the fight. Steve Hilton or Chad Bianco is probably better than what we have, and so they don't really care who gets the endorsement. They just want something better than that. And then you have these RINOS. These are these people who are they're almost afraid to be a Republican. They think that they gotta apologize because they don't want to murder babies. I'm sorry, we really want you to murder your, they almost think they have to apologize for that. And so they get involved in that and that. And then you have these these log cabin people that are so far radical left, and they get mixed in with the RINOS too, and they're, they're for amnesty for, they're for amnesty for illegals. They kind of believe these
Yes.
open borders and radical stuff that you would have never thought of. And the America First people are these, they're nice people. They have some less than popular views that than I would hold there, and that. But I have some radical views that they probably wouldn't agree of. So it's called a conversation, and you need to have those. But I think these people are looking at the log cabin people and going, this is not what I want for America. And a lot of it is being overshadowed because of these crazy ideas that really aren't so crazy. A lot
of it's money too.
Yeah. I don't think.
Who has the disposable income? Who's given the most?
Right. Right. And I think that's where the money's coming from. The money's coming from the log cabins because they have the money and they're the infrastructure and this and that. But back to the America First movement, while they do have some crazy ideas, I think some of it is being misjudged. One is not a Nazi and one doesn't hate Jews just because they don't want to write a blank check to Israel. I don't think that makes somebody a Nazi. I think somebody should question where their tax dollars are going. If it's going to go fund a Ponzi war in the Middle East, at least tell me about it. I don't think that, I don't trust Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't. I hear what he says and I get puzzled by it. But I
don't
also
know if our
don't
president trusts him so much these days. He seems to keep shooting down the ceasefires and so on.
Right. And I don't trust Vladimir Putin, but just because I don't trust Vladimir Putin means that I hate Russians. And to suggest that just because I don't trust Benjamin Netanyahu, I hate Jews is nonsense. And to silence those people who would suggest that is completely in a violation of the First Amendment, and it has no place in the Republican Party. But these radical leftists who are afraid to be conservative, who I guess got kicked out, maybe they got censored by the left and thought, well, I'll jump ship over here and play puppeteer. But they have now raised all this money and they're supporting these candidates like Susan Collins and others. And it's so sad what's going on. And then this cancel culture, it's never equal. It's never the same standard. Why am I silenced? Because I invited David Serpa to come on my show, yet Steve Hilton can go on Megyn Kelly.
What's the name of your show on YouTube again?
It's called The Ryder Report.
The Ryder Report. I'm going to look that up, buddy.
Okay.
I'm going to start sharing your stuff too. I hope you keep in touch. I want to have you on again. I want to have you on a lot. I think you're fantastic.
Thanks. Love to come on anytime.
All right, my friend. All the best to you. And again, I'm sorry that happened. I wish I had a better explanation other than my party in California is jacked up. It's the only explanation I have right now. I hope it ends. I'm not going to quit. Like this show, would you please hit that like button right now? You'll help with the algorithms. We have to fight against that too. We podcasters. I'm now part of that alternative media. So if you like the show and if you comment down below, that helps too. But you got to write more than 5 words because otherwise they count it as a bot. That's the kind of stupid stuff we're having to go with and go against all the time. I have 2 strikes against me on YouTube because I don't curb my speech like a lot of conservatives will. I call things out the way they are. I'm not going to change the English language to make the left happy ever. So I've been doxxed. I've been cut down. I had Facebook remove every single one of my pages last summer because of a show I did about what a scam and sham Pride Month is. So I don't have Facebook anymore or Instagram. Yeah, I've paid the price. But then I meet people like Ryder, the young guy. He could have easily done like those others and went, well, I just want to get along. That guy's my new hero. You kidding? It's fantastic. fantastic. So thank you for supporting and liking this show and sharing it. I brought up the Facebook thing because I 40,000 people suddenly gone. I don't have any way of letting them know when I do new shows. So it's up to you to share these, and I appreciate when you do. And go to my website too, please. You buy some products, and that helps me stay on the air because they share with the prophets. Let's talk about politics and religion. Ryder, you need one of these on your desk when you're doing your sports talk. Let's talk about politics and religion. And I got hats, I got shirts, I got all kinds of stuff there at CharLeeSimons.com. That's right here. CharLeeSimons.com. CharLeeSimons.com. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. Most importantly, though, America, bless God. Goodbye.